Well, it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside when I woke up this morning. That's minus 15 Celsius. And it warmed up to a balmy 21 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 6 degrees Celsius. And we got 6 more inches or 15 centimeters of fresh snow just the other day, which I haven't gotten out to shovel yet. Something to look forward to. Yeah, we're in the middle of winter, so join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at this month's Hoya Updates Part 2. And before we get this underway, I'd like to take this opportunity to send out a special thanks to Stephanie612FE and to Galyazel, who sent me super thanks this past week. Your contributions to my channel go a long way in helping keep me in Hoya and dischidia, technology infrastructure, and all the stuff that goes into producing these videos. So thank you both very much for your support. I don't have anything blooming this week, but I've got a couple plants of interest. The first one is my Ludisia discolor, and it has sent out a bloom spike. So it's getting ready to bloom. Good, we can get rid of that. It's still in the pot that it was in when I got it. And so I've just been trying to make sure that it's always got water, or it's at least moist. Looks like it's growing in a kind of a cocoa peat perlite mix. And I'll probably put it in something just a little more airy. But yeah, this is about the time of year when these bloom, and that they're very cool, they're very beautiful, and I'm glad this one's doing well. So yeah, this is Ludisia discolor, and this is the one known as black. And another plant of interest, it's all okay. I'm very excited about. A couple years ago, I bought a plant that was labeled Stephania erecta, because, of course, I had to have one of those, and found out later that it's actually Stephania pierrei. But either way, it grew for me. And it's a, let's see if I can do this with the lights and everything else. It's a caudex plant. I'm trying not to bang it into. So there's a potato, what they call the potato in there. And the first year it grew really well. It forms these gorgeous leaves. Probably a little small, but I've got some pictures of them. And it filled out this, actually it was a much taller trellis, it filled it out. It was full of these beautiful big round leaves that sort of remind me of nasturtium leaves. So the first year, as soon as we got a little bit of a chill in the air, it just died back, which is what it's supposed to do. And I was left with the potato again. So I left it alone, and then about a year ago noticed that there was this crazy vine coming out of nowhere, and the nowhere was actually the caudex. So I went through another summer of wonderful, fun growth. It bloomed for me. I've got pictures of the blooms. I'll put them over here. And so this winter I repotted it, put it in a larger pot, gave it a mix that's really well draining, but was going to hold on to a little bit more moisture. And it sent out a new shoot here, and there's another one coming out. I have to try to tip this and not tip it over, but there's another new shoot coming out there, another new vine. So yeah, if you want something kind of interesting and kind of different, look for a Stephania. This one's pierrei. They don't want to be in direct sun at all, but they do want bright light. And this one will go crazy for me for a few months. But yeah, this is very cool. I'm very excited about this. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, this should be the time of year when this does this. This is Stephania pierrei, sometimes known as Stephania erecta. And the first one up today has been here for 3 years, and it is my Hoya Leoensis. Now, Hoya Leoensis is not from anywhere. It's a hybrid, and it's a hybrid of Hoya viola and Hoya fuscomarginata. And so because it's a hybrid, it shouldn't have that name. Someone decided they were going to play fast and loose with the naming conventions. Now, it's absolutely gorgeous leaves. I mean, those are very, very pretty. When the big ones come in, and they're absolutely lovely. Nothing to not like about it. I have not grown either viola or Leoensis. Sorry, I have not grown either viola or Fusco marginata, but I am told that the leaves do reflect the parentage. Now this one came as a small cutting. I may have pictures of what it looked like when it first arrived. I'm not sure, I didn't check my files yet. But it has done pretty well, and I will be honest and say I have neglected it a little bit. It's not getting prime location. It actually lives over here on a corner of the desk where it gets some light from the window and some light from this grow shelf over here. But it's not prime real estate because it takes up a lot of space. Now I have to vacuum too. So yeah, but it shouldn't have that name. Leoensis would typically mean from the place of Leo, and I don't know where that is, but because it's a hybrid, the name should probably be Hoya, and in single parentheses with a capital L, Leoensis. I've also seen it as Leonensis, so the name for this one is problematic. But I'm going to stick with Leoensis in single parentheses, in single quotes, capital L, because that's how a hybrid should be named. So yeah, it's done fairly well. It has bloomed a couple of times, and I don't think I have any pictures of it, but if I do, I'll put them in over here, because it's not registering in my brain that I've seen the blooms. I've just seen the bloom spikes afterwards, so the peduncles afterwards. So, that's on me. But it's done very, very well. If you're looking for something that's kind of big on the leaf side, this one up here is measuring from petiole to tip 7 inches or 18 centimeters, and from side to side 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. Now that I'm looking at it, it definitely has bloomed at some point because there's some leftover nectar up here. The leaves, as I said, are really pretty, really neat. I have to pay a bit more attention so I can remember what it looks like when it blooms, but yeah, it is a thirsty plant. The stems are woody, the leaves are firm. There is some flex to them, but they will not take well. There's a recessed central rib, and that's not going to take well to bending at all. The leaves do not seem particularly succulent. They seem slightly pubescent on the back. And this one was never on my wish list. This came as a free cutting from one of my favorite sellers, Plants Wake You Up, who is sadly no longer in business, not through lack of effort on my part, but it's just kind of cool. If I had a better spot, I would definitely give it some better real estate, but you're doing what you can. So if I could, I have an extra set of Sansi grow lights that I might be able to clip onto the top there. Might give it a try because that would light this whole area over here. Gonna have to look into that. Anyway, this has done really well in 3 years. It's turned into something of a lush plant. You can see that this is the side that faces the window. No trauma, no drama, no hassles. It just wants its drinks. It doesn't want to dry out at all. And yeah, you can get leaves like that, which are just beautiful. And this one came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is Hoya Leoensis. I have two plants that have been here for 3 years, and I showed one of them recently, and had I realized it was having an anniversary soon, I might not have shown it, but then again, I think it was in my top 10 Hoya list, so I probably would have shown it anyway. But these are going to be my Hoya Bella. Or, well, there's two of them, so Bellas, Belli, whatever. Now, hold on. Hoya Bella is native to Assam, specifically Manipur in India, and to Myanmar. And it was first published in 1848 in the Botanical Magazine, or Flower Garden Displayed, by William Jackson Hooker. And there's a note on the herbarium sheet that says Burma, which is the old name for Myanmar. So that's probably where Westerners noticed it for the first time. It was originally referred to as Hoya lanceolata subspecies Bella, but I believe it's been given its own specific genus of Hoya Bella. And these are just gorgeous plants. This is the outer variegated, clearly. And, whoop, don't get caught, there we go. This is the inner variegated. And these are some of my favorite Hoyas, clearly. Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's a nice little plant, isn't it? It's so much fun. It's so pretty. Now, when I first got my first Hoya Bella, it was over there, and it's not his anniversary yet. That's the solid green one. I'm going to put this down before I do something stupid and drop it. I did everything wrong because the internet told me to, and I always do what the internet says. So I had it in cactus soil in a terracotta pot, and I let it dry out because that's what it said. And sadly, that's not anything like what these plants want. They want access to moisture. They don't do the cactus soil in the terracotta. You can grow a lot of Hoyas in terracotta. I would not recommend Bella being one of them. It wants access to moisture. Now, the fun thing is that these can grow in lower light. My outer variegated one lives up here on this shelf most of the time. And so it makes its way around down to where there is more light. But it can do fairly well in a slightly low light situation, just slightly. Now, spilling down from that shelf, it gets early morning sun on this part of the plant. And it gets some fallout from this grow shelf setup over here. And it seems fairly happy there. I have had to put weights on the back of both of these pots because this one is the one that took the header off the shelf over there. The weight of the plant overcame the inertia of the weight of the pot. And I was sitting in my den one night and I heard this noise, and believe me, I know the sound of pon being spilled, so I knew that someone had taken a dive, and it was this one. So he's in recovery a little bit, but yeah, I put my fishing weights on the back, so there's some back weight counterbalance to this thing. These are just beautiful. They're just so much fun. Where are you going? They branch. What was that? Anyway, I should have pictures of what the blooms look like. The blooms are some of my favorites. They're so simple, and the colors are so striking. Yeah, and when they're really, really happy, there'll be lots and lots of peduncles and blooms. And man, as long as you keep up with the watering, they're going to do fine for you. That's why I strongly recommend self-watering pots for Hoya Bella. Whether you use an organic mix or whether you use a pon or pumice or anything like that, it's going to want its water. And at this point, this is kind of a big plant. So it uses up a lot of water, quite a bit of water. If you've got it in something organic or even in pumice, you're going to need a weight if you have it trailing like this. If you have it in a hanging basket where it's hanging evenly around all sides, you don't need the weight. But if you've got it on a shelf and you're doing this, because very, very soon the weight of the plant is, particularly if it's an organic mix, there's just not going to be enough dead weight here to keep it stable. These are just so much fun plants. I know people struggle with them, and I did too, until I realized that everything that I was being told about the way to grow them was not true. If you've got the solid green version, it can grow in a medium light situation. If you've got leaves like this with much more variegation, it's probably going to want more light. And if you've got something like the outer variegated one, it goes somewhere in between. My green one, which is right over there, which is why I keep looking in that direction, and this one live side by side. The green one is turned more toward my south-southeast facing window, so it gets some early morning brightness. This one is turned more toward my Sansi grow lights over here, so it gets more light. If you don't have a Hoya Bella, just get you one. I just think these are gorgeous. I love these plants. I'm going to put this one down before I drop it and do something stupid. And don't do the let it dry out thing with this one. This is one Hoya that really does not want to dry out. And if it does, you will look at it and go, you will be concerned. It will bounce back. So yeah, these are just so much fun. They've been so easy once I figured it all out. And like I said, I'll always have one of each of these in my collection. You will sometimes see them under the name of Louis Boyce, Lydia Boyce, Annika Boyce. I don't deal with any of those names because there's so much confusion. I've seen so many different spellings, so I just go with outer variegated and inner variegated, and that much more clear. Don't you agree? The outer variegated one came from Lewis and Leafs on Etsy, and the inner variegated one came from the Hoya shop on Etsy, and this is Hoya Bella. And the next one up here for 3 years is my Hoya krohniana black. Now, Hoya krohniana is native to the Philippines, and it was first published in 2009 in Fraterna, the official bulletin for International Hoya Association, by Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And within the botanical community, there's this ongoing debate among botanists, which means gratefully I am not involved, about whether krohniana and lacunosa are indeed the same species. And as I said, fortunately, I'm not a botanist, so I don't have to make that call. This one is just really pretty. The leaves are very neat. And you will see yourselves that there's a certain resemblance to Hoya lacunosa. And there are a couple different varieties. I have 2, and I realized that there were a lot more to collect, and I wasn't going to try and collect them all. It's, as someone said, not like Pokemon cards. But the leaves are very neat. They do get a lovely black color to them, black tone, specifically around the margins, but even the top side of the leaves can get quite dark. This one has bloomed for me. It is, right now, clearly at least 1 meter long. There are lots of peduncles. It does bloom fairly regularly. And if I caught it and I was lucky, there will be pictures of them, the blooms over here. I should also at some point, if I was good, which is not always the case, there may be pictures of what it looked like when it first arrived. And it was just a nice little small cutting, but it has done really well. It doesn't get the best of conditions here. And I can fix that too. Ooh, anyway, thinking out loud. It grows on this grows shelf setup, and it's in the second tier of plants, but I now have a vacancy in the top tier. So I might try giving this one a little bit more light and see what happens. Yeah, because one of my Hoyas did not do well. My Sipitungensis, I must have missed it or something. But I took cuttings before it went, so I have a replacement for it. But its spot is now temporarily vacant, so I might move this one there. But it's just done really well. If you think lacunosas are easy, krohnianas are right there with you. Yeah, the leaves are very pretty, very cool. This one is, as I said, it's the black variety, so it's rather dark. I also have one over here that is now known, I think, as super silver. That's not the name I bought it under, but I got yelled at for using the name I bought it under, which always, anyway, we won't go there, will we? This has just been really cool, really easy. If you like that whole lacunosa vibe, but you want something that's a little different, then a krohniana might be just the one for you. This one came from the Hoya shop on Etsy, and this is Hoya krohniana Black. And also here for 3 years is my Hoya lacunosa Poonsak. Now, lacunosa is native to Brunei, to Java, Kalimantan, and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, and to the Philippines and to Thailand. It was first published in 1827 in Bijdragen tot de Flora van Nederland-Indië, or Contributions to the Flora of the Dutch East Indies, by Carl Ludwig von Blume. And there's a note on the herbarium sheet that says Malaya, so that's probably where Westerners discovered it. This is one of my favorite lacunosas. I like the long, narrow leaves. I just like the look. I just think that's pretty. It's just a really neat looking plant. I also like the story. The story I heard was that botanists were out collecting samples and noticed something up in a tree that they thought could be a lacunosa, checking it out with binoculars or whatever. There it is. But it was up in the tree. And their driver for the day volunteered to climb the tree and bring down a cutting. And so they named the plant after him. So his name was Poonsak. This is just a great little lacunosa. I've shown my giant leaf. I've shown all the lacunosas. To me, this one is different than the others. The leaves are long and narrow. They have that lacunosa look, but oh my, wait. I need to pay more attention. There's seeds on here. Where are they? Okay. I don't know who's been impregnating my lacunosas or my other plants, but there's one there. Somebody's been making... Anyway, she's been out partying. Girl's been out having a good time, and I have to look around and see if there's any other loose seeds over there. And I don't mean to... You'll have to bear with me a moment. Those seeds are really, really tiny, and I don't want to lose them. So I need to get something to put them in. And this will work fine. I haven't had much luck with getting seeds to germinate for me, but doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. Anyway, I gotta look and see if there's any others showing up. So clearly it has bloomed, because that's where the seeds come from. And I probably have pictures of what the blooms look like, and I'll put them over on the side here. I should also have a picture of what it looked like when it first arrived. And it has been, as you can tell from this peduncle in here, a rather consistent bloomer. Again, it's lacunosa, so for me, they're no trauma, no drama. This is a thirsty plant because of the size of it. It's probably about 2 feet or 60 centimeters. It's one of my faves. It's really cool. I like the story behind it. I like everything about it. Matter of fact, it's getting ready to bloom again. There's peduncles with buds on them. So yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on this. Lacunosas, they're just fun, you know? I like the look of this. It's not lighter in shade, but lighter in plant density than perhaps the Mr. Tent or the giant leaf. But, you know, it's very cool. Very cool. This one came from 2 nodes, 3 leaves on Etsy. And this is my Hoya lacunosa Poonsak. And also here for 3 years is my Hoya lithophytica. I gotta be careful with this, it's a fragile one. Now, Hoya lithophytica is native to Thailand, to Tak province, and it was found growing at a height of 850 meters. It was first collected in 2009 and published in 2012 in the Nordic Journal of Botany by Manit Kidyu. The leaves are, let me, here's my issue, not my issue, but here's why I'm working gingerly with this. These vines are easily 6 feet long. And 6 feet would be 1,800 centimeters, meter, 0.8. Yeah, the leaves are very, very cool, I think. Now, this plant typically grows in rocky soil or not directly on, but on limestone. So it'll find caches of moisture and rotting matter within the cracks in limestone and will spread out over that surface. And this one is not a climber. You know, most Hoyas will reach out. This one got straight down. It does not want to climb at all. It's not what it evolved to do. Let's see if I can do this without. And part of the reason I'm being so ginger with these leaves is that they are fragile. The leaves will snap off if you just even think about moving the plant. It was a struggle to get it out. And it grows on the wall in its own spot, but it still found one of the grow shelves nearby and sent a vine down through everything else. And I finally just had to cut it to get it free to show you. But they're very, very pretty. It does bloom. It has not bloomed for me, but I may have a picture of what it looked like when it first arrived. It's been no trouble. As you can see, it looks kind of scraggly up near the top, and I could probably, what I should do is put it in a larger pot, take some cuttings and put them in to fill it out. But I don't have a great spot for it. And part of the reason is that it just started growing, and it just grew. Once it settled, it just grew. Doug Chamberlain said that he had his in a pot and he had to keep raising the pot as the vines kept growing longer and longer. He got his to bloom. I don't know if I have the conditions that it wants, but I certainly have the conditions for its growth. So yeah, most of this is now on the floor. Well, I told you that the leaves, the peduncles are very fragile. Let's see if I can do. That's kind of a close-up of what the leaves look like. Let's see if I can. No. Behave. See if I can. And the leaves will snap off at that. I don't know if I can get that to focus, but I'll put some close-ups. They're beautiful. They're dark green. He is currently growing next to this grow shelf setup over here on the wall. He has his own little area. And it's just, I mean, he's growing really well. I wish I could provide the conditions for blooms, but you do what you can do. Right now he's living over there, so it's medium light he's getting. The temperatures in here are usually around 70 degrees average, and I'm getting the humidity better. It's averaging around 40–45% when I get the door closed. So yeah, this one has not been difficult in terms of growth, but I need to do something with it, make it look better, and deal with all. I mean, there's like 1.5 feet of vine on the floor, so what can you do? This one was also from Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya Lithophytica. And finally, a plant that's been here for 4 years and is another one of my favorites. This is Hoya retusa. Now, Hoya retusa is native to East India and the East Himalayas. It was first published in 1852 in Hooker's Journal of Botany and Kew Garden Miscellany by Nicole Alexander Dalzell. And the remarks on the herbarium sheet say India, so that's probably where Westerners discovered it or learned about it. And I put off buying one of these for a very long time because whenever I saw them in the stores, they looked awful. They just looked terrible. Dehydrated and desiccated and just, nothing. It's like, why would I want to bring that home? But then I started seeing people online who had really beautiful plants. And okay, well, maybe it's something that I can fix. And I could. So if you hear the little, I've got a weight on the back of this one too because it grows on a shelf. So I brought it home, potted it up. I probably started it in bark and sphagnum in a net pot with a cover pot. And it did okay, but in a very short time, it started growing. And it looked better in a couple of weeks, but then it really started growing. And so it needed to be up potted, just picking out a few of the dead leaves, as you do when you're talking to friends and, sneaking in some plant chores. It picked up, it started growing, it was looking really, really good, so I decided it was time to up pot it. And I kept it in an organic mix, but I moved it to self-watering. The net pot with the cover pot didn't hold enough moisture in its, well, it has no reservoir essentially, but it didn't hold enough moisture and it dried out a little bit too quickly. So moving it to the self-watering pot was a really good idea. And it has been very happy. Now, retusa likes somewhat cooler temperatures to bloom. So I have it right now on the bookshelves in the living room. And the plus side is it's a little bit cooler in that room. The downside is it's also a little bit drier in that room because I don't have a humidifier for out there. Although we might fix that situation since I now have a bunch of stuff out there that wants higher humidity. So I was going to say, it just means I'm going to have to dust a bit more, but that's not true. I'm just going to have to feel guilty or more guilty about not dusting. This is done really well though. If you want that, if you like that look of ferns, not Fern, the charming woman who has her own channel, but of the fern the plant, But like me, we don't do ferns because I've killed far too many of them. I just don't, although see, I'm lying about that too. I did buy a fern, and I'll probably tell you about it in a few weeks. But anyway, if you like that look and that vibe, then don't worry about what they look like in the store. The leaves are gorgeous. They are very, very narrow. There are approximately from petiole to tip, let's say 2 3/4 to 3 inches long, which is about 7.5 centimeters. They do bloom, and I should have pictures of the blooms to put in over here. With luck, I may even have an early photo of what this looked like when it first showed up. It's just pretty. Because it is very much a threadleaf Hoya, it does not want to dry out. So I would suggest self-watering. And right now it's living, it's a south wall, and there's a west-facing window over on the side here. So it grows on the top, on the shelves are on that wall. So it gets a little bit, very little bit of late afternoon direct sun, but it gets a lot of very good afternoon light. And it seems to be rather happy in there. Although, it probably wants more moisture, but we're doing what we can. We're doing what we can. This has been a favorite. It has just done well. As I said, they always looked terrible in the store, and I was hesitant to bring it home. And so glad I did, because that spilling off the bookshelves looks absolutely beautiful. It's so cool. I love this plant. I know I say that about all of them, but I really like this plant. This one came from Briggs in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and this is my Hoya retusa. And now the question for the comments. First of all, thanks to everyone who took the time to respond to last week's question about Hoya you've changed your mind about. That was interesting to read. There were some of them that I was right there with you on that. That's like, yeah, I absolutely understand that. And I have Hoyas that I have changed my mind about for the good, and Hoyas that I've changed my mind about for the not so good. So yeah, that was an interesting discussion. Now, this week's question for the comments is about your substrate. I always talk about what I use, that my substrate of choice for growing Hoyas or dischidia, Oreospart, any of them, is pon and pumice. I'm experimenting a little bit now with just pure pumice, but that's my go-to. I prefer an inorganic mix and a self-watering pot. But that's me. What's your favorite substrate for growing your Hoyas? And there'll, no guilt, no finger pointing, no saying you shouldn't do that. What works for you? So yeah, do you use an organic mix or an inorganic mix? And if it's organic, what do you use? Is it like all cocoa peat, or is it cactus soil or perlite or whatever? If you use inorganic, what do you use? Is it pon? Is it pumice? Is it leca? A combination thereof? Yeah. So in the comments below, tell us about what your go-to Hoya mix is. And as always, I'd like to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click that thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. They're all really important, and it's how you can help my channel grow. And if you're on a mobile device, when you're all done, click on that hype button. It helps recommend my videos to someone else who might enjoy watching them. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront. There's a link in the description to the storefront, or you can use this QR code to visit the store. I receive a small commission on the sales of items from the storefront, and it's a good way for you to help support the channel. If you're in the market for grow lights, I have a relationship with Sansi. And if you use this QR code and this code at checkout, or follow the link in the description, you'll receive a 30% discount from the prices you find on the site. I've been happy with my Sansi grow lights. They're working really well and making a difference in some of the darker parts of the house. So yeah, I think you'll be happy with them as well. If you'd like to support the channel directly, here's a QR code to my Buy Me a Coffee page. There's also a link to that page in the description. Or you can use the thanks button down here, and that's a great way of sending a thanks to us at the channel, and YouTube handles all that business end of it for me. I'm going to put links to a couple more videos over here on the side, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.